Now let's continue with this crusade against these worthless mutts and their inappropriate owners. First of all, I think it's pretty sick that because dog ownership is a multi-billion-dollar industry, that dogs are allowed to impair the quality of life for people who are not dog lovers. Dogs are a protected group, and they're permitted to do things that society would not tolerate an identifiable group of humans to do. If any other identifiable group of 80 million humans polluted our water, attacked over 4.5 million people each year, seriously injured 500 to 800,000 each year, disfigured tens of thousands, killed between 20 and 50, where half of all of those victims were children under the age of 12, this group of humans would be public enemy number one in the media, in every facet of society. But the truth is, dogs are public enemy number one, but they are being protected because of how much money they generate for a small group of people. But rest assured, the community of crusaders will continue to grow until it becomes impossible for our voices to be ignored. I recently made an account on Reddit and joined a group called Dog Free. I'll leave a link in the description box. It is an excellent social community of crusaders who are fed up with these mutts and these mutt owners. And this particular subject grabbed my attention. It reads, "Why is it socially acceptable for people to be startled by dogs violently barking at them as they walk their own neighborhood?" Now, we often overlook things like this because after we pass each individual home and each individual aggressive barking mutt, we make it home safely and we forget about it. But we should not overlook things like this. In fact, I believe this is a relatively serious issue. To me, it is a form of harassment. It is very similar to a human who walks up to you and threatens to assault you, which is illegal. You're walking peacefully down a sidewalk. The homeowner has a fence that stretches closely to the sidewalk, right within a foot or sometimes even less, and allows their stupid mutt to bark, charge you, lunge at you, and follow you and harass people as they walk by. Understand, it might take you 30, 40, 50 steps or so before you make it past the home. And during the entire time, there is a huge aggressive mutt within 1 or 2 feet of you, following you, harassing you, growling and barking in a threatening manner. Sometimes the fence is relatively short where it looks as if the dog got a good enough running start, it could possibly clear the fence, right? Jump the fence. Some dogs actually do jump fences. And you don't know if that will be one of those moments. That is real harassment. If the fence was not there, that mutt would attack you. Right? Think about it. You're walking down the sidewalk peacefully. All you hear is birds chirping. You're in a certain state of mind. And all of a sudden, a dog charges and starts barking at you. Now, even though there is a fence there, in this moment, you literally have a panic attack. A sudden change of emotion. right? A sudden episode of intense fear that triggers severe physical reactions. Your heart rate increases. It actually triggers a fight or flight response. All of the physiological changes that occur during sudden fear, and a panic attack occurs in this situation because you are literally being threatened with violence. The sympathetic nervous system releases hormones in these moments that causes changes to occur throughout the body. Your hands begin to shake, right? Your nerves are rattled. No different from if a human being ran up to you in that moment with a knife in their hand, yelling, threatening to kill you, telling you that if that fence were not there, that they would stab you to death, actually trying to climb over the fence. This is illegal. That is a threat of violence, a threat of death. These brain dead mutts will spot you from afar and sit perfectly still, staring at you, getting riled up and waiting for you to pass, to get close enough so that they can harass you. This is how dogs treat humans on sight. And people expect us to view dogs as loving animals on sight, run to their rescue and offer them food. If a person actually did this, they would be arrested. That is a crime. But because the dog is an animal and it is not speaking human language, society treats this situation as if it's okay. It is not okay. The dog doesn't have to speak a human language to threaten humans, to inform humans that if the fence were not there, that it would stab you with its teeth. That is exactly what these mutts do. We are actually being issued death threats, threats of violence, severe physical violence, every time we are in these types of situations. And it is not okay. These mutt lovers are fully aware that this stupid mutt is going to do this to every person that walks by, and they do nothing about it. It makes you wonder if they're actually getting off on it. Some type of power trip, getting off on making people intimidated. Regardless of what is going through their mind, this is flat out harassment. These people experience real emotional distress. You can sue people for emotional distress. Even after you pass the home and you pass the dog, it often takes you a while to calm down. Your fight or flight response is still active, right? People are still shaken up. We don't realize it, but these people are getting over the experience of having their person threatened with violence, severe violence and death. And this is not okay. This should not be acceptable. These mutt lovers should not be allowed to allow their worthless, aggressive, stupid mutts to charge at and bark at random people. Right? The fact that there is a fence present does not prevent people from being subjected to a threat of physical harm. Why should it be okay for people's well-being to be threatened while they're simply walking through their own communities? This is not acceptable. It is just as criminal as it would be if a human were making verbal threats with a weapon, a deadly weapon in their hands. Think about it, and actually following the person, threatening them as they're walking by, right? Walking with them, threatening them. This is not a petty issue. People say it's just a dog, as if that's supposed to suggest that dogs are harmless, or that we should simply accept being threatened, lunged at, charged at, and barked at, threatened out of the blue, when we're simply walking down a sidewalk in a city that we pay taxes to. These people should be required to keep their filthy mutt on a short chain, at least at a considerable distance from the sidewalk, so that people don't have a dog within inches of them trying to jump the fence, barking and threatening them. It is not acceptable to cause random people emotional distress and send their nervous system into a fight or flight state. That is not acceptable. I don't give a damn why dogs do it, that it's territorial or whatever. It is simply unacceptable. If it were humans walking past chained dogs and screaming at dogs with a knife in our hand, telling the dogs that we will kill it, these dog owners would scream bloody murder and talk about how immoral and disgusting us humans are. But they expect us to simply accept it because it's a dog. These are the type of privileges that I'm talking about that dogs get that humans don't get. Why are dogs placed above humans in our own country? These mutts ain't paying no taxes. These mutts ain't contributing to the maintenance of this society. They are a burden on this society. Yet they get more rights than we do. They can do things that we can't do. I don't think so. The Crusader community will continue to press issues like this and force some level of dog regulation until we have the complete illegalization of dog ownership. Simply because a natural born killer is nice to you because you feed it does not mean that it is appropriate to allow these killers to live in the community around kids and babies who routinely find themselves the victims of attacks from these brainless, worthless, violent killers. We have grown sick and tired of your stupid, uncivilized, ugly, barking mutts harassing people. And anytime this happens, the victim should be allowed to press harassment charges against the owner. Again, temporary solution, of course, because the real solution is to make all dogs illegal to own.